Taman stared at his lunch tray. The food looked boring. Rice, some kind of protein bar, and vegetables that tasted like nothing. But this was what he could afford on a student budget, especially here on Harmony Station where everything cost 3 times more than back on Earth. The cafeteria buzzed with noise. Hundreds of students from dozens of different alien species filled the massive hall. Some had scales, others had feathers. Some breathed different gases and sat in special sealed sections. Some were so tall they had to use custom furniture. Taman had been on the station for 3 months now, but he still felt amazed every time he walked into this place. He found a small table in the corner. Most of the other tables were full. Groups of students sat together, usually with their own species. The Xylar students with their blue skin stuck together. The insect-like creche formed their own clusters. Humans were rare here. Only about 20 human students attended the Interstellar Academy, among thousands of aliens. Taman had made a few friends, but today he ate alone. He didn't mind the quiet. After a long morning of xenobiology classes, he needed time to think. His professor had talked about biological adaptation across different worlds. It was fascinating but exhausting. His brain hurt from trying to remember all the scientific names and concepts. Taman picked up his fork and started eating. The food wasn't great, but it filled his stomach. He watched other students come and go. A group of Valoran students walked past. They were tall and elegant, with smooth silver skin that seemed to glow slightly. They wore expensive clothes and moved with confidence. Taman knew they came from wealthy families. The Valoran Empire was one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Suddenly, someone approached his table. Taman looked up and froze. A Valoran female stood in front of him. She was beautiful in a way that made his breath catch. Her silver skin shimmered under the cafeteria lights. Her eyes were large and golden, with an intelligence that seemed to look right through him. She wore elegant purple robes that marked her as someone important, though he didn't understand the specific markings. But what surprised him most was her expression. She looked worried, scared even. Her golden eyes kept darting toward the cafeteria entrance. "May I sit here?" she asked. Her voice was soft and musical. Taman nodded quickly. "Yes, of course." She sat down across from him with a graceful movement. Now that she was closer, Taman noticed she was breathing fast. Something was wrong. He glanced toward the entrance. 3 large Valoran guards stood there, scanning the cafeteria. They wore armor and serious expressions. They seemed to be looking for someone. The female Valoran followed his gaze and sank lower in her seat. "Please don't draw attention," she whispered. Taman understood. She was hiding. He didn't know why, but he could see she needed help. He turned back to his meal and acted casual, as if nothing unusual was happening. They sat in silence for a moment. Taman continued eating, trying to appear normal. The female watched the guards from the corner of her eye. Then Taman noticed something. She had no food. She had run here in such a hurry that she hadn't gotten lunch. His eyes moved to his own tray. He had plenty left. Without thinking too much about it, Taman pushed his tray toward the middle of the table. He picked up the protein bar and broke it in half. Then he divided his rice into 2 portions using his fork. The female Valoran stared at him with wide eyes. "You should eat something," Taman said simply. "You look like you're having a rough day." For a long moment, she just looked at him. Her expression was strange, like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Then slowly, she reached out and took half of the protein bar. "Thank you," she said quietly. They ate together in comfortable silence. Taman didn't ask questions. He could tell she didn't want to talk about whatever she was running from. The guards continued searching the cafeteria, but they didn't look at his corner table. Why would they? He was just a human student, and she was sitting with her back to them. After a few minutes, the female seemed to relax a little. She ate slowly, as if she wasn't used to food like this. Probably she ate much fancier meals normally, but she didn't complain. She finished her half of the meal carefully. "This is kind of you," she said, looking at him directly. Most people would have asked questions, or asked for something in return. Taman shrugged. "You needed help. That's enough reason." She tilted her head, studying him with those intense golden eyes. "What's your name?" "Taman. I'm from Earth." "A human," she said softly, as if that explained something. "I've heard things about your species." "Good things, I hope," Taman said with a small smile. "Different things," she replied. "Your people are considered unusual. You think differently than most species in the galaxy." Taman wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not. but he didn't get a chance to ask. The female suddenly tensed. The guards were moving closer, checking tables more carefully now. She stood up quickly. I need to go. Thank you for the meal, Taemin from Earth. Wait, Taemin said. What's your name? She hesitated, then leaned down close to him. Her voice dropped to a whisper that only he could hear. My name is Yuna, and you should know something, Taemin. You're special. Before he could ask what she meant, she turned and walked away. But she didn't run. She moved with calm confidence now, as if she had never been hiding. She walked straight toward the guards. Their faces changed immediately when they saw her. They bowed deeply. Other students in the cafeteria started noticing. Conversation stopped. People stared. Taemin watched in confusion as more guards appeared. They formed a protective circle around Yuna. Students whispered to each other, pointing at her. Some even bowed as she passed. A creche student at the next table leaned toward Taemin. Do you know who that was? The insect-like alien chittered excitedly. Yuna, Taemin said, still confused. Princess Yuna of the Velaran Empire. She's the heir to one of the most powerful thrones in the galaxy. And she was sitting at your table. Taemin's stomach dropped. He had just shared his cheap student lunch with a princess. A real princess from an empire that controlled dozens of star systems. As the guards escorted Yuna toward the exit, she glanced back once. Her golden eyes found Taemin in the crowd. She smiled slightly. Then she was gone. Taemin sat alone at his table, staring at the empty tray they had shared. His quiet lunch had just become very complicated, and her words echoed in his mind. You're special. What did that mean? And why did a princess say it to an ordinary human student like him? He had a feeling he was about to find out. The message came the next morning. Taemin was still in bed when his communication device beeped. He reached over groggily and checked the screen. His eyes went wide. Report to Station Commander's office immediately. Priority 1 summons. Taemin's heart started racing. Priority 1 meant serious business. He had never received anything higher than Priority 3, and that was just for course registration. He jumped out of bed and got dressed as fast as he could. His roommate, another human student named Dae-ho, was already awake. What's wrong? Dae-ho asked, seeing Taemin's panic. I got summoned to the commander's office, Taemin said, pulling on his shoes. Dae-ho's eyes widened. What did you do? I don't know. Nothing. But even as he said it, Taemin thought about yesterday. The princess. Could this be about that? But he hadn't done anything wrong. He just shared his lunch. The walk to the commander's office felt long. Taemin's mind ran through every possibility. Maybe he had broken some rule he didn't know about. Maybe humans weren't supposed to talk to Valoran royalty. Maybe he had somehow offended Princess Yuna without realizing it. The commander's office was in the central tower of the station. Taemin had never been there before. He passed through several security checkpoints, each one making him more nervous. Finally, he reached a large door made of some kind of glowing metal. The door opened automatically. Taemin of Earth, you may enter, a robotic voice announced. Inside, the office was huge. Windows showed the stars outside. Expensive furniture filled the space. And behind a massive desk sat Commander Rykel, a tall Xylar with blue skin and forearms. He was one of the most important people on the entire station, but Taemin's attention went to the other person in the room. Princess Yuna stood by the window. She wore different robes today, even more elegant than yesterday. Her silver skin seemed to glow in the starlight. She turned and smiled at him. Taemin, she said warmly, thank you for coming. Commander Rykel gestured with two of his arms. Please sit, Student Taemin. Taemin sat in the chair across from the desk. His hands were sweating. Commander, I want to apologize if I did something wrong yesterday. I didn't know. You did nothing wrong, the commander interrupted. His voice was deep and calm. In fact, Princess Yuna has made a special request concerning you. Taemin looked at Yuna in confusion. She walked over and stood beside the commander's desk. I have requested that you serve as my cultural liaison during my stay on Harmony Station, Yuna said. The commander has agreed. Taemin's mouth opened, but no words came out. Cultural liaison? What did that even mean? The commander explained. Princess Yuna is here for the annual diplomatic summit. Representatives from 50 different civilizations will attend. As heir to the Valoran Empire, the princess needs someone who can help her understand the different cultures and perspectives of other species. She has chosen you for this role, but But I'm just a student, Taemin stammered. I don't know anything about diplomacy or culture. There must be professionals who... I don't want professionals, Yuna said firmly. I want you. She walked closer to Taemin, her golden eyes serious. Yesterday, you did something that no one else in that cafeteria would have done. You saw someone in need and helped them without asking for anything. You didn't care who I was. You just cared that I needed help. That's just normal, Taemin said weakly. No, Yuna said softly. It's not. Not in my world. Everyone wants something from me. Power, favor, connections. But you gave freely. That's why you're special, the commander spoke again. This is a great honor, student Taemin. But you may decline if you wish. Taemin looked between them. This was crazy. Yesterday he was a normal student eating lunch. Today a princess wanted him to work for her. But something in Yuna's eyes made him hesitate. She wasn't ordering him. She was asking. Really asking. I'll do it, Taemin heard himself say. But I don't understand why you think I'm right for this. Yuna smiled. You will. Come with me. I want to show you something. They left the commander's office together. Yuna led him through the station's corridors. Guards followed at a distance, giving them space but always watching. Other students stared as they passed. Taemin felt their eyes on him. Yuna took him to a private room in the diplomatic wing. Inside, the walls showed holographic displays of different alien species. Information scrolled past in multiple languages. Tell me, Taemin, Yuna said. What do you know about the current state of the galaxy? Not much, Taemin admitted. Earth only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. We're still learning, Yuna nodded. That's what makes you valuable. You see, most civilizations in the galaxy have followed a similar path. As we advanced technologically, we changed ourselves. We modified our biology, enhanced our brains with computers, eliminated what we called inefficiencies. She pulled up an image of a Valoran brain scan. It showed complex technology woven throughout. My people can process information 1,000 times faster than our ancestors. We can control our emotions perfectly. We never feel unnecessary fear or doubt. We are logical, efficient, perfect. The way she said perfect sounded sad. But we lost something, Yuna continued. She pulled up another image. This one showed a human brain. It looked simple compared to the Valoran scan. No technology, no enhancements, just organic tissue. Humans are different, Yuna said. Your species chose not to enhance yourselves. You're still completely biological. Most advanced species consider you primitive because of this. Taemin had heard this before. It still stung a little. But primitive isn't weak, Yuna said firmly. Yesterday you read my emotional state perfectly. You knew I needed help without me saying a word. You understood I was hiding without explanation. You offered food because you sensed I needed it. How did you know all that? Taemin thought about it. I just felt it. I looked at you and I could tell something was wrong. Exactly, Yuna said. You felt it. My people can't do that anymore. We engineered away our ability to instinctively read others. We process data about emotions, but we don't feel them naturally. We understand concepts intellectually, but we lost intuition. She walked closer to him. Humans have something we call emotional resonance. You can read other beings naturally. You understand needs and feelings across species barriers. You do it without thinking. The way I process mathematics without thinking. It's your gift, Taemin shook his head. That sounds too simple. Everyone can tell when someone else is upset. Not true, Yuna said. Not among the advanced species. We need sensors and computers to tell us what humans see naturally. That's why you're special, Taemin. That's why I need you. She pulled up images of the diplomatic summit. Representatives from 50 civilizations will gather here. Each has their own agenda, their own games. I need to navigate complex negotiations that could affect billions of lives. And I need someone who can tell me what the logic and data can't. Someone who can read the room the way only humans can. Taemin felt overwhelmed. This is too much. I'm not qualified. You saved me yesterday just by caring, Yuna interrupted gently. That's the only qualification that matters. Someone knocked on the door. A human woman entered. She was older, maybe in her 40s, and wore formal diplomatic clothes. Perfect timing, Yuna said. Taemin, this is Ambassador Jiwoo. She's the human representative on the station. Jiwoo smiled warmly and shook Taemin's hand. I've heard about you. What you did for the princess was brave. I just shared my lunch, Taemin said, still confused. Jiwoo and Yuna exchanged a look. That's exactly why you're perfect for this, Jiwoo said. Taemin, humanity is still new to galactic politics, but we have something special. We remember how to connect. The princess is right to trust you. Taemin looked between them. Everything was moving so fast. Yesterday he was worried about passing his exams. Today he was being recruited for diplomatic work, but when he looked at Yuna he saw genuine hope in her golden eyes. She believed in him, and somehow that made him want to try. Okay, Taemin said. Tell me what I need to do. Yuna's smile was bright and real. First, you need to understand why you're really here. The diplomatic summit isn't just about trade or treaties. There's trouble coming, Taemin. War is brewing, and humanity might be the only species that can stop it. 2 weeks passed quickly. Taemin spent his days attending diplomatic events with Princess Yuna. At night, he studied everything he could about galactic politics. His normal classes became secondary to this new role. He met dozens of alien species. Some were friendly, others cold. He learned their names, their cultures, their conflicts. And slowly he began to understand what Yuna meant about human intuition. He could sense things others missed. When a Kresh ambassador smiled but their antennae stayed flat, Taemin knew they were lying. When a Xylar diplomat spoke formally but shifted weight nervously, Taemin felt their hidden worry. He would whisper these observations to Yuna during meetings. At first she seemed surprised, then impressed, then grateful. She began relying on his insights more and more. Daeho thought the whole thing was insane. You're playing in politics way above your level, he warned one evening. These are powerful people. One wrong move and you could cause an incident. But Taemin felt needed. For the first time since coming to the station, he felt like he had a real purpose. The diplomatic summit officially began on a cold morning. The station's main conference hall filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Taemin stood beside Yuna near the back, watching carefully. Ambassador Jiwoo sat with the Earth delegation. She gave Taemin an encouraging nod. Next to her sat other humans Taemin had met recently. Hana, a medical officer who worked in the station hospital. Jae-sung, a trade negotiator. Only 20 humans attended the summit, but their presence felt important. The Korth Coalition had sent a large delegation. They were a group of species who opposed the Valoran Empire's influence. Their leader, a tall reptilian named Sekvar, spoke first. The balance of power must change, Sekvar announced. Too long has the galaxy been controlled by ancient empires. New voices deserve equal say, it sounded reasonable. But Taemin watched Sekvar's body language. The way his tail coiled showed aggression. The way his eyes fixed on Yuna showed hate. Taemin leaned close to Yuna. He's not here to negotiate. He wants conflict, Yuna nodded slightly. She had suspected this too, but Taemin's confirmation helped. She adjusted her strategy immediately, speaking more cautiously. The first day passed without major problems, but Taemin felt tension building. Different species formed small groups, whispering to each other. Alliances were forming. Lines were being drawn. On the third day, everything changed. Taemin was walking with Yuna through a corridor between meetings. Her guards surrounded them as usual. The hallway was quiet. Most diplomats were at lunch. Suddenly, Taemin felt something wrong. He couldn't explain it. Just a feeling in his gut, a sense of danger. Stop, he said urgently, grabbing Yuna's arm. The guards immediately went alert. Yuna looked at him with sharp eyes. What is it? I don't know, Taemin said. His heart pounded. Something feels wrong. One of the guards, a Valoran named Kyr, scanned the corridor with a device. Sensors show nothing unusual. Check again, Taemin insisted. The feeling was getting stronger. Yuna trusted him. Everyone back against the wall. Full defensive positions. The guards obeyed instantly. They pulled Yuna and Taemin against the wall, forming a protective barrier. Seconds passed. Nothing happened. Then Taemin saw movement. A maintenance worker pushing a cart appeared around the corner. The worker looked normal, a Xylar in standard station uniform. But something about the way they moved made Taemin's skin crawl. That worker, Taemin whispered. Something's wrong with them. Kyr scanned the worker. Identity checks out. Station maintenance crew. But the worker's path brought them closer. Their eyes briefly met Taemin's, empty eyes cold. It's a trap, Taemin shouted. The worker's hand moved to the cart. Kyr reacted instantly, firing a stunning blast. The worker fell. The cart exploded with energy weapons hidden inside, but Kyr had knocked it away in time. The blast hit the wall instead of Yuna. Alarms screamed. More guards rushed in. The hallway filled with chaos. Station security arrived within minutes. They arrested the unconscious worker and scanned the entire area. The investigation revealed a sophisticated assassination plot. Someone had hacked the station's identity systems and smuggled weapons past security. Taemin sat in a secure room afterward, shaking. He had almost watched Princess Yuna die. His gut feeling had saved her life. Yuna sat beside him. "How did you know?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," Taemin said honestly. "I just felt something wrong. The sensors didn't detect anything. I had no logical reason. But I knew." Yuna took his hand. Her silver skin felt warm. "This is what I meant about humans being special. Your instinct saved my life. No sensor, no computer could have caught that in time. Only you." Commander Reichel entered the room with Ambassador Jiwoo. Both looked serious. "The investigation is ongoing," the commander said, "but we have preliminary findings. The assassination attempt was coordinated by members of the Korth Coalition. They wanted to remove Princess Yuna before negotiations could succeed. This means war is closer than we thought," Jiwoo said. "If Yuna had died, the Valoran Empire would have retaliated. The galaxy would have split into open conflict." Taemin felt sick. He had stopped more than just a murder. He had prevented a war. Over the next few days, security tightened. Tensions at the summit grew worse. The Korth Coalition denied involvement, but evidence mounted against them. Other species began choosing sides. Some supported the Valorans, others sided with the Korth. The neutral species, including Earth, tried to maintain peace. Taemin continued working with Yuna, but now with extra guards. He attended more meetings, read more situations, and he began to notice a pattern. The advanced species communicated on multiple levels. They had official statements, data exchanges, and logical arguments. But underneath, they missed the emotional truth. They didn't see the fear driving the Korth Coalition. They didn't understand the pride preventing the Valorans from backing down. But Taemin saw it. He saw beings acting from emotion while pretending to be logical. And he realized something important. One evening, he met with Ambassador Jiwoo and Hana at a human gathering. About 15 humans on the station met regularly to share news from home. "I've been thinking," Taemin said. "All these advanced species, they think they're beyond emotion. But they're not. They're just blind to it. They can't see their own feelings anymore, so they act on them without realizing it." Jiwoo nodded. "We've noticed this too. It's why human diplomats have been surprisingly effective. We can see what they can't. But why?" Taemin asked. "Why did they give up something so valuable?" Hana spoke up. She was a medical expert who had studied different species. "Evolution," she said. "Not natural evolution, technological evolution. These species enhanced themselves for thousands of years. Each generation added more technology, more efficiency. They optimized themselves. But optimization requires choosing what to keep and what to discard. They decided emotions were inefficient. But emotions aren't inefficient," Taemin said. "They're data, information about ourselves and others." "Exactly," Jiwoo said. "But they realized that too late. They can't go back now. Thousands of years of genetic and technological modification can't be undone. They're locked into what they've become." "But humans aren't," Taemin said slowly. "We're still original, still complete." "Yes," Jiwoo said with a small smile. "Earth joined the galactic community recently. We never had time to improve ourselves like the others. We're the newest species, but also the most ancient. We're the only ones who remember what they all used to be." Taemin thought about this. Humans were considered primitive by galactic standards. Weak, emotional, inefficient. But maybe those weaknesses were actually strengths. "The galaxy needs what we have," Taemin said. "They need to remember how to feel, how to connect. They need to remember how to understand each other," Jiwoo agreed. "And that's why you're so important, Taemin. You're showing them that humans have value, not despite our emotions, but because of them." The next morning, Taemin returned to work with new understanding. He wasn't just helping Yuna navigate politics. He was showing the galaxy what humanity could offer. But challenges still lay ahead. The summit was reaching its critical point. War or peace would be decided in the coming days. And deep down, Taemin knew that the assassination attempt had been just the beginning. Bigger threats were coming, and somehow he would need to help face them. The tension broke 5 days later. The Korth Coalition formally declared war against the Veloran Empire. The announcement came during a morning session. Sekvar stood and spoke with cold fury. We reject the tyranny of ancient powers. Freedom requires action. The Korth Coalition will no longer submit to Veloran dominance. Half the room erupted in support. The other half protested. Within minutes, species were shouting at each other. Some delegates walked out. Others made angry calls to their homeworlds. The careful diplomacy collapsed into chaos. Commander Reichel tried to restore order but failed. The summit was breaking apart. War was beginning. Taemin watched with growing horror. All the work, all the hope was crumbling. He looked at Yuna. She stood tall and calm, but he could see the sadness in her golden eyes. She had tried so hard to prevent this. That evening, the humans held an emergency meeting. All 20 humans on the station gathered in a secure conference room. Ambassador Jiwoo stood at the front looking tired. Earth has been asked to choose a side, she said. Both the Valorans and the Korth want our support. We have 48 hours to decide. What will Earth choose? Asked Jae-sung, the trade negotiator. Officially, Earth wants to remain neutral, Jiwoo said. But neutrality might not be possible. If war truly begins, we'll be forced to pick. Taemin raised his hand. Everyone looked at him. He was the youngest human there, just a student. But his work with Yuna had earned him respect. What if we don't pick either side? Taemin said. What if we offer a third option? What do you mean? Jiwoo asked. Taemin stood up, his mind racing. The problem isn't about power or territory. The real problem is that no one trusts each other anymore. The advanced species can't read emotions, so they assume the worst about everyone. They see threats everywhere because they can't see the fear underneath. That's true, Hana said. But how does that help? Humans can help them communicate, Taemin said. Really communicate. Not just exchange data, but understand each other. We can be mediators. We can help them see what they're missing. An older human named Sung-ho shook his head. That's a nice idea, but why would they listen to us? We're the newest, weakest species here. Because we saved Princess Yuna, Taemin said. Because I saw danger that their sensors missed. Because humans have proven we can do things they can't. Maybe they'll listen if we show them what we can offer. Jiwoo looked thoughtful. It's risky. If we fail, we could make things worse. But if we succeed, she paused. If we succeed, we could stop a war and establish humanity's role in the galaxy. I want to try, Taemin said firmly. Princess Yuna trusts me. Let me talk to her. Let me propose this. Jiwoo studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Do it. You have my support. But Taemin, understand what you're taking on. If this works, you'll be responsible for billions of lives. If it fails, you'll be blamed for making the war worse. I understand, Taemin said. He was terrified, but he meant it. The next morning, Taemin met with Yuna in her private quarters. He explained his idea carefully. She listened without interrupting. You want humans to mediate between us and the Korth? She said when he finished. Yes. We can help both sides understand each other better. We can find common ground that sensors and logic miss. Yuna walked to her window, looking out at the stars. My people will resist this. They don't believe humans have anything to teach us. Then prove them wrong, Taemin said. You already know I saved your life by trusting my instinct. Show them that humans have value. Yuna turned back to him. And if I convince my people, we still need the Korth to agree. They hate us. Why would they accept human mediation? Because they're afraid, Taemin said softly. I've watched Sekvar. He acts aggressive, but underneath he's terrified. The Korth Coalition is smaller and weaker than your empire. They started this war out of fear, not hate. If we can address that fear, maybe we can find peace. Yuna looked at him with wonder. You see all that just by watching him? Yes, and so could you if you remembered how. She smiled sadly. My people lost that ability 10,000 years ago. We can't go back. Maybe not, Taemin said. But you can learn to trust those who still have it. You can learn to trust us, Yuna made her decision. I'll speak to my council. Give me 2 days. Those 2 days were the longest of Taemin's life. He continued attending sessions, but the summit was falling apart. More species declared support for one side or the other. Military fleets began moving into position across the galaxy. The first battles could start any day. Taemin worked with other humans to prepare. Ambassador Jiwoo connected him with Minji, a human who worked in strategic planning. Minji was sharp and quick, understanding galactic politics better than anyone Taemin had met. If we do this, we need a clear plan, Minji said. We can't just ask everyone to talk nicely. We need to address real concerns. Together, they analyzed the conflict. The Korth coalition feared Valoran economic dominance. They worried about losing their independence. The Valorans, meanwhile, feared that Korth aggression would encourage other rebellions. Both sides had legitimate concerns hidden under their aggressive positions. We need to find solutions both can accept, Minji said. Ways to protect Korth independence without threatening Valoran stability. That sounds impossible, Taemin said. It would be impossible for them, Minji said with a slight smile. They're locked into logical extremes. But we can think creatively. We can imagine solutions they can't see because they're too focused on data and predictions. They worked through the night, developing proposals. When they finished, they had a framework. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. On the second day, Yuna sent a message. My council has agreed. The Valoran Empire will accept human mediation. Now you must convince the Korth. That was harder. The Korth coalition didn't trust humans. They saw Earth as weak and thought the Valorans were manipulating them. Sekvar refused to even meet with Taemin. Then disaster struck. An alert blared across the station. Emergency protocols activated. Taemin was in his quarters when Daeho burst in. The water system has been poisoned, Daeho shouted. Someone sabotaged the main supply. Thousands of people are sick. Taemin rushed to the medical center with other humans. The scene was chaos. Aliens of dozens of species lay sick. Their technology-dependent immune systems couldn't handle the poison. The medical staff was overwhelmed. But then something strange happened. The human patients started recovering quickly. Within hours, they were healthy again. Their natural, unenhanced immune systems had adapted to the poison and fought it off. Hana, the human medical officer, immediately understood. We can help. Human blood plasma might have antibodies that can treat the others. The humans mobilized. All 20 of them donated blood. Hana and her team worked frantically to process it and create treatments. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Slowly, the alien patients began recovering. Taemin donated blood until he felt dizzy. Then he went back to work, helping move supplies and assist the medical staff. Every human on the station did the same. They worked without rest, saving lives. Sekvar himself had been poisoned. He was one of the worst cases. Human treatment saved his life. When he woke up, Taemin was there. The Korth leader looked weak but alive. You saved me, Sekvar said, his voice rough. Why? We are enemies. No, Taemin said quietly. We are all just people trying to survive. That's what humans understand. That's what you've forgotten. Sekvar stared at him. Something shifted in his reptilian eyes. You want to mediate between us and the Valorans? Sekvar asked. Yes. We can help you find peace. Why should I trust you? Because we just saved your life and asked for nothing in return, Taemin said. Because humans don't have an agenda except preventing war. Because we're the only ones who can see past the logic to the truth underneath. Sekvar was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. I will discuss this with my coalition. You have earned the right to be heard. 3 days later, both sides agreed to human mediation. It was historic, unprecedented, and terrifying. Taemin stood before the assembled delegates, about to begin the most important negotiation in human history. His hand shook, but his voice was steady. Let's begin, he said. Let's find a way forward together. The negotiations lasted for 12 days. 12 long, exhausting days where the fate of billions hung in the balance. Taemin led the human mediation team with help from Ambassador Jiwoo, Minji, and others. But much of the weight fell on his shoulders. The first few days were the hardest. The Valorans and Korth coalition barely spoke to each other. They exchanged data and demands, but no real communication happened. They stated positions but didn't listen. Taemin changed the approach. Instead of letting them debate abstract principles, he asked each side to share stories, real experiences. He asked Valoran delegates to describe what security meant to their families. He asked Korth representatives to explain what freedom felt like to their children. At first, they resisted. Stories weren't logical. Stories weren't data. But slowly something shifted. As beings shared personal experiences, others began to listen differently. Not analyzing threats or calculating advantages, but actually hearing. Taemin watched their body language carefully. When a Korth delegate spoke about fear of losing their cultural identity, Taemin noticed several Valoran delegates lean forward with interest. When a Valoran shared concerns about galactic stability affecting their colony worlds, He saw Korth representatives nod slightly in understanding. "They're listening," Taemin whispered to Minji during a break. "Really listening." "Because you're helping them remember how," Minji replied. On day 5, they hit a major obstacle. The Korth wanted complete autonomy, including military independence. The Valorans couldn't accept this, seeing it as a threat. Both sides dug in. The talks nearly collapsed. Taemin called for a private session with only him, Yuna, and Sekvar present. No guards, no advisors, just 3 beings in a room. "Tell me what you're actually afraid of," Taemin said to Sekvar. "Not your official position. Your real fear." Sekvar's tail coiled tightly. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, "My people have existed for 30,000 years. But the Valoran Empire is so large, so powerful, that we feel invisible, like we might disappear and no one would notice. I fear my grandchildren will forget who they are because they're drowning in someone else's culture." Taemin turned to Yuna. "And you?" Yuna's silver skin seemed less bright than usual. "I fear chaos. The galaxy has enjoyed relative peace for 5,000 years because of strong leadership. If that leadership weakens, if every small coalition demands independence, I see wars spreading everywhere. I fear trying to help and making things worse. I fear being responsible for billions of deaths." "You're both trying to protect people you love," Taemin said softly. "That's not something to fight about. That's something to work together on." "But our solutions contradict each other," Sekvar said. "Your extreme solutions do," Taemin agreed. "But maybe there's a middle way. What if the Korth Coalition got genuine autonomy in cultural and local governance, but agreed to coordinate with the Valoran Empire on issues affecting galactic stability? You protect your identity, Sekvar. You maintain peace, Yuna. Both fears get addressed." They looked at each other. Centuries of mistrust hung between them, but something in the room had changed. "We would need specific terms," Yuna said carefully. "We would need guarantees," Sekvar added. "Then let's build them together," Taemin said. "That's what negotiation means." The breakthrough came on day 8. After hours of detailed discussion, both sides agreed to a framework. The Korth Coalition would have internal autonomy, but participate in a larger Galactic Security Council. The Valoran Empire would reduce economic pressure and recognize Korth cultural zones. Neither side got everything they wanted, but both got what they needed most. News of the agreement spread quickly across the station. Other species watched with amazement. If the Valorans and Korth could find peace, maybe other conflicts could be resolved too. But there was still work to do. The agreement needed to be formalized. Other species had to be consulted. Details had to be hammered out. The human mediation team worked around the clock. On day 10, something unexpected happened. A delegation from the Xylar Confederacy requested human mediation for their own border dispute with the Thraxian Union. Then the Kresh Hives asked for help with trade negotiations. Within hours, 5 different conflicts had requests for human involvement. Ambassador Jiwoo looked exhausted but pleased. "Humanity is being recognized," she told Taemin. "Not as a military power or economic force, but as something else. As bridge builders, as beings who can help others understand each other." "Is this what you hoped for?" Taemin asked. "It's better than I hoped for," Jiwoo admitted. "Earth joined the galactic community as outsiders. We had nothing to offer except our perspective. Now that perspective is becoming valuable. You've shown them what humans can do, Taemin. You've given humanity a purpose in the stars." On day 12, the final agreement was signed. Representatives from the Valoran Empire and Korth Coalition stood together at the main assembly hall. Thousands watched in person. Billions more watched across the galaxy through broadcasts. Princess Yuna spoke first. "This agreement represents more than peace between 2 powers. It represents a new understanding. We, the advanced species of the galaxy, believed we had evolved beyond our primitive past. We enhanced our minds, optimized our bodies, and eliminated what we thought were weaknesses. But we lost something crucial." She gestured to where Taemin stood with the human delegation. "Humanity showed us what we lost. The ability to truly understand each other, the capacity for genuine empathy, the wisdom to see past data to the heart of what matters. These are not primitive traits. They are the most advanced abilities of all." Sekvar spoke next. "The Korth Coalition came to this summit ready for war. We were prepared to fight for thousands of years if necessary. But humans offered us something better than victory. They offered us understanding. They helped us see that our enemies had the same fears we did. This peace is stronger than any treaty forced through military might. When they finished, the assembly erupted in applause. The sound echoed through the hall. Taemin felt tears in his eyes. Later that evening, after all the official celebrations, Yuna found Taemin sitting alone in the same cafeteria where they first met. He was eating another simple meal, rice and vegetables. "May I join you?" Yuna asked with a smile. "Always," Taemin said. She sat across from him carrying her own tray this time, elegant Valoran dishes that probably cost a fortune. But she set the tray aside and looked at him seriously. "I want to thank you properly," Yuna said. "You've changed the course of history. Earth will be offered a seat on the Galactic Council. Human mediators will be requested across the galaxy. Your species will have influence far beyond your population size." "I didn't do it alone," Taemin said. "Jiwoo, Minji, Hana, every human here helped. And you trusted us. That mattered most." "I trusted you from the moment you shared your meal," Yuna said softly. "Before I knew your name, before I understood what humans could offer, I knew you were special. Because you saw a person in need and helped without thinking about what you would gain." She reached across the table and took his hand. "Thank you for teaching me that being special isn't about power or technology or perfection. It's about connection. It's about caring. It's about being willing to share what you have with someone who needs it." Taemin smiled. "I learned something too. I thought humans were behind everyone else, primitive and weak compared to advanced species. But we're not behind. We're just different. And different can be valuable. More than valuable," Yuna said. "Essential. The galaxy needs what humanity has. We need people who remember how to feel, how to connect, how to understand. Promise me you'll keep doing this, Taemin. Keep helping others see each other truly." "I promise," Taemin said. They ate together in comfortable silence just as they had that first day, but everything had changed. The frightened princess hiding from her duties had become a leader who helped forge peace. The ordinary student unsure of his place had become someone who changed the galaxy. Around them, the cafeteria buzzed with life. Students from dozens of species ate and talked and laughed together. And here and there, Taemin noticed something new. Aliens were sitting with species they never mixed with before. Conversations were happening across old boundaries. Maybe it was his imagination. Maybe it was wishful thinking. But Taemin hoped that something fundamental had shifted. That the galaxy was learning slowly to connect again. To see each other not as data points or threats or resources, but as people. A week later, Taemin returned to his normal student life. He still attended classes, still studied xenobiology, still worried about exams. But now he also worked part-time as a cultural consultant. Other students sought his advice. Professors invited him to speak about human perspectives. Daeho couldn't believe it. From sharing lunch to changing galactic politics. That's insane. "I just did what felt right," Taemin said. "That's exactly why it worked," Daeho replied. "Earth sent more human diplomats to Harmony Station. They established a permanent mediation office. Taemin helped train the new arrivals, teaching them what he had learned. How to read body language across species. How to sense emotions others couldn't see. How to help beings remember their shared humanity, even when they weren't human. One morning, Taemin received a message from Ambassador Jiwoo. The Galactic Council has created a new position,